Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NLC. We're about to move into Champ Select for our first game of the evening. Singularity coming up against Dusty and Jamada. This game on paper doesn't seem that close.
Yeah, I mean, I think we spoke. I can't recall exactly who we spoke with from the Dusty lineup, but I asked them, how did they find these two groups, between A and B? And they said, well, we beat everybody. We beat 3 people in Group B. We lost everybody in Group A. Group B is very clearly weaker. So I wonder how the mindset is there for Dusty, whether they're feeling a little more confident now that they've actually returned back to Group A with, a couple wins under their belt. But yeah, I think Singularity, for me, are definitely still the stronger team here. But it's going to be interesting to see how exactly both these teams want to adapt to this patch, because quite a few things, whilst remain the same, major differences for me in certain places.
Yeah, but I will say, though, it's still very much the same stylistics. It's not like Hyper AD carries are suddenly back and you won't play for solo laners. I still feel like solo laners carry a lot of weight. And when Singularity has a mid laner like Fury, who we talk about quite often, as Dusty, that's a guy you're looking to shut down. That's a guy you need to get out of the way because he's going to be very scary. And I'm also looking towards a lot of these power picks still being up and available. The Zed and Diana is a composition we've seen a lot of in some of the other countries just taking over. So Rumble really used to be that AP jungler. Now it's the Diana, and there we go. Zed is taken away from the table. So it's going to be curious to see what priority pick they want to get on the side of Dusty. Renekton is still up, so that can be flexed into Lee Sin as well.
Yeah, you got the Lee Sin pick up. Just looking over the bans very quickly, it's same patch, same bans, or new patch, same bans. You've got stuff like Zinzao Nocturne off the table, but Varus is going to be locked in alongside the Fresh, very, very strong bot lane already on the table for Singularity.
Yeah, and a little bit of a contested pick here because I think MTest in his last 3 or 4 games has actually run this Varus. So bit of a takeaway pick there as well. Something that Singularity have also put a lot of priority on recently was the Rumble, but that got hit this patch. So curious to see, whether we're going to see SNG sort of fall onto that Diana, assuming it makes it through this pick phase for Dusty, which for them, they're looking at some engage options here into the Thresh. Going to lock into Leona. I wonder if they're going to go for something like hyper aggressive from MTest point of view, whether they're going to go something more scaling. The Ezreal is still up if they want it, something like that.
That's the thing here. Do you want to secure one of these strong AP junglers while you still can?
Yeah.
Or are you looking to secure that AD carry? I still think on this meta, solo laners holds a lot more weight. So if you can get something that's more comfort to the top side of the map, you should go for it. Sawyer is going back on his Nidalee. We've seen him countless times on this Nidalee. I will say he's had some really good performances on this Nidalee, and then he's had some pretty mediocre performances. And Nidalee always a champion that can be very hard to pilot if there's not setup for her in lanes either.
Yeah, which looking at the draft right now, there's not.
Talk about hovers here.
I know. Okay. It's just because it was showing up in the name, so I was just wondering. Okay, it just caught me off guard for a second. We don't see Vibe hovered almost ever. But yeah, Dusty with that Nidalee pick. There's not a lot of setup right now. SNG, they've locked in the Gragas, so a little bit of a flex here is sort of a old pick of Noise, and of course we know Wazor plays it too. So I'm expecting a mid lane pick on R4 then for SNG to try and hold on to that flexibility, unless they just want to chuck it into the Lee Sin lane. Assuming that Lee will go there, because of course we do have the Nidalee on the table.
I think when you see we see the Gragas, you ultimately think Wasteland is going to get his hands on that champion. You've seen it loads of time already. It does fairly well into Lee Sin if Lee Sin turns out to be the top side of the map, and you're still missing your own jungler here. So it does depend if there's any priority pick you really want to get your hands off, like a Viego or perhaps a LeBlanc or anything like that. When the AP items have gotten a bit buffed here, and you can clearly see Dusty's getting the same thought here. They're gonna get rid of some of these solo laners.
Yeah, but I also feel like if Dusty wanted, they can just remove the Diana too on the second ban, and they kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. And that's why I sort of mentioned the Gragas as more of a flex than a straight up Wazor pick, because after Diana's gone, Nidalee's off the table. The AP junglers aren't so hot on this patch anymore. That a lot of them have just kind of been nerfed out of meta very slowly. We'll have to see. SNG, they remove away Lucian from Warzy, I believe. So let's see exactly what Dusty want to do, because I think honestly you remove away the Diana and immediately you have a pretty lopsided jungle matchup, unless Noi runs something that's not very conventional to the meta in terms of sort of tempo and clear speed.
Yeah, stuff that's a little bit lower priority, maybe the Elise or something like the Lilia. We have seen, but it's going to be the Renekton final bang in here, so we'll have to see what Singularity decide to go for.
All right, place your bets, Jamada. Jungler mid. Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, So that's got to be Fury's. I think Fury, whenever he's on the Jace, he just looks unstoppable. I'm curious to see what Wars he's actually going to challenge it with, because Zoe is up and available, and that's something that he is very, very fond of, and it hasn't been banned out here. And you know, sometimes the matchup into Jace can be a bit rough, but you can match the range in a lot of scenarios. So I want to know whether or not, because you've got the Nidalee, so you've got some kind of setup, you've got the makings of a poke comp. Tristana locked in, which honestly can still go in the bottom lane, so that doesn't reveal anything until Dusty's final lock. But yeah,
I think Tristana goes spot here. Because Emperor's has been playing a lot of Tristana early in the season as well. It is kind of just like a little comfort pick for him as well. And then, yeah, I was thinking the same. There's not a lot of champions left either. Of course, Zoe could be one of them, but then you got 2 APs, 2 AD, and there we go. It is going to be the Zoe. I don't think there was much more setup left either. You couldn't answer with the set yourself. There's no Renekton if you wanted to melee AD yourself either for dive potential. Lucian was already off the table, so I think the champion pool in general for Warsaw was just decreased there.
And we're going to have to see what Singularity you're going to choose as their final one. Give some information on where this Gragas is going to end up. Could be top or could be jungle. And with that being potentially the decision made, I know we don't talk about hovers, but Volibear's kind of very standard. Oh, actually, it's going to be the Ornn. I've been baited myself, but that means that it will be Gragas going into the jungle, Joanna.
Yeah, Gragas in the jungle. I mean, AP pool kind of depleted. And of course, you have the AD mid there. Ornn going to be sort of a reliable source of engage in this game, to be honest with you. And it's something that SNG, they've got 2 now non-committal ultimates plus the Varus. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they're going to pilot some of the team fights and how they're going to look to actually make picks and fights occur.
It can be kind of tough for Dusty to snowball as well, because if I'm expecting Nolta to trade,
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
Top side of the map is going to be a bit difficult to dive. It's not like Zoe's going to huge amount of priority, so you can't really go for these triple dives. The setup in mid is going to come down to that bubble, so that's going to be a Fury. And then down towards that bottom side of the map, you do have a Varus, but with a Thresh. So it's going to come down to some of this instantaneous CC that you're very reliant on hitting if you want this Nidalee to at least try and facilitate a lane, because when you get to this mid game, there's a bit of a gauge coming through from Singularity, but there's also a lot of disengage coming through from them. So you kind of want to be able to have a lead when you go against this kind of sort of team composition.
Well, we're set up for a really, really explosive first game, and there's no one better to cover it than our 2 casters. Hitray and Norks, take it away.
Thank you very much. As we are getting ready to go into our first game of the day, rocking a bit of color coordination on the t-shirts here, Orcs.
Yeah,
a little bit off color, but we're pretty close.
Yeah, I specifically did this because I thought when we match, it just goes so much better.
Yeah, exactly. We're like a pair of brothers getting dressed up by a mum, ready to go out for the day. Anyway, we're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. Dusty taking on Singularity. Dusty, they really need this win. They're 3-8 right now. And we've now returned back from that crossplay 2 weeks we had, and we're back into the group stages. And, these wins are important. If you want to avoid that relegation spot, you need to find it. Singularity, they're trying to keep their streak up. They're trying to keep pace with the likes of BTXL and the other teams at the top of Group A. I do agree, though, with some of the things that were hit on the desk. It does feel like Dusty, they need to hit this kind of this snap engage with the instant CC, because when you got things like a Fresh, if you don't chain that CC right, it can be a little rough because he can just lantern someone to safety.
Yeah, I just think this game's kind of hard. Like bot lane, Varus is a really strong laner. It's also Leona into Thresh, where Thresh is really comfortable, disengage any attempts from Leona. In the mid game, I feel like Varus and Jace are going to be so strong, and they have that long range poke. And it's like, you have a Nidalee and a Zoe, but they're probably going to lose in terms of poke wars compared to the Varus and the Jace. It just makes things so difficult. And then again, as you said, limited engage options mean you can't break that sort of poke war. You're going to struggle to get into the back line. I think for me, the key things I'm looking for from Dusty is one, a strong start from Sawyer.
Yeah.
This Nidalee needs to get snowball in. Playing towards the top side is obviously a good way you can do that. And then the second thing would be being really good at picking the right fights, having good setup for them, having good vision control, getting picks, chunking people out, maybe playing around summoners as well. I do think Singularity come into this with a draft advantage, but Dusty have windows to play through.
Yeah, they absolutely do. But yeah, like you said, I'm curious to see how Sawyer is going to play this, because when we see Nidalee, typically it's by people who are very good at it, the likes of MC and stuff like that, where they pick up a lot of fun, they pick up lots of kind of kills, and they actually start to snowball. But Nidalee, she falls behind. feels a little bit rough. And when you're playing into something like Nulty on this Gragas, he doesn't need to get fed to be effective on the Gragas. He's still got all the CC, he's still got the disengage for the team, so he still offers something. If Sawyer is equal or behind, the impact he's going to have and how much he's going to be able to do is going to be somewhat limited. And, you know, you think about what Dusty are working with here. You've got the Zoe, you've got the Nidalee. There's a lot of kind of long-range poke, which can then easily get set up for kills if MTES can start to reset with the jumps and, you know, Baloo being able to start the fights. Sorry about the extended talk. We're waiting for a couple of ping issues to be sorted, but we are finally onto the Rift.
30 seconds until
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, like, when I compare the poke between these two, I feel like Nidalee spears are way easier to dodge. And even with Zoe, it's like, if you're just getting hit by, like, paddle stars, it's kind of the Zoe playing well. The same with Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. But I feel like Jason, Varus, the reason they're so good at poke is just because it's not even that high skill. Like, I'm not going to lie, Dragdawn, Fury definitely paddle these champions well, but it is not hard to hit a Varus arrow or a Shock Blast. It's kind of just like, you have so many, you can just rattle them off until one connects. It's like, cool, you're 40% HP, now you can't fight. And the thing is, there's no one on the side of Dusty who can really soak that damage. There's no one on their team who's really good at face checking as well. So if Singularity get ahead and they start to, like, you know, control areas of the map, it's going to be very difficult for Dusty to push in.
Well, we're going to see both of the junglers start up on their red sides of the map. There's a Zombie actually just sitting in his dry brush, just kind of covering here for the moment. And this does mean that Sawyer will be clearing upwards. So maybe, like you're saying, could look for something in that top lane. It's just going to go down towards the Krugs though first. There's a little bit of a trade here between Zombie and Weasel.
And I think that's the right call because, I mean, they picked this Ornn to play weak side. That's the role of it. Whether Ornn's ahead or behind, he's going to be an ult bot. So ideally he's ahead, but they are committing to the bot side in terms of Singularity. And that's an opportunity for Sawyer to lean up here. If Zombie comes out ahead in lane, if he's able to get a bit of an advantage in terms of health, they can definitely look for a dive. And that's why I like that he's going for that early trade. Even though he actually ended up a little bit lower health than Weasel, he knows his jungler is pathing up towards top side. So if both targets get low on health, it actually favors the side of Dusty.
So, lane's looking like Singularity should have the priority down there. Somebody just came for a nice little trade in onto Weasel. The brittle proc.
And again, these don't have to be winning trades. Just getting Weasel low sets up those plays. We did actually see a ward come out from Warzy. So he had priority mid, crushed that second wave. He put a ward down on Nulty's Raptors, but Nulty used his sweeper to clear it out. So the assumption is Nulty was on his Raptors then. He's going to be going to his bot side camps, but actually he's looking for a gank in the mid lane and just burned Warzy's flash off the back of that.
Yeah, Warzy got away for free there as Prospect gonna eat the Zenith Blade. The Ignite is on, and this is MTES looking for the kill. One more auto attack finds it. He's got the resets on the jumps as well, as Dragdar is being chased onto. Is going to be able to flash away to safety. Meanwhile, like you're saying, in the mid lane, we did see Warzy burn his flash as he got ganked by Nulty.
I just don't understand how we've gone full circle again, where, you know, Prospect was inting the early lane in a couple of their competitive games, and then he had that performance where he was really solid, and now back to dying right at the start of the game, 3 minutes in. And it shouldn't be happening in this lane at all. There shouldn't be that window. So a big misplay when you should be having the 2v2 lane advantage, and definitely a good advantage for Dusty. And now they're looking to capitalize on the top side of the map. That trading from Zombie has put Weasel a little bit low, and Sawyer, I think maybe they're making the decision that he's not low enough. I guess they'll see how things go out. They know Nulty's on the other side, though. They know he went for that gank, which slowed him down, so there's not much time pressure. But I think they opt in this situation not to go for it because they're kind of struggling to stack up this wave.
Yeah, and you know, the wave clear that Weasel has is pretty effective, and I think with a couple of spears missing, he wasn't low enough to go in for this dive. So they're going in for the reset. They're going to call off this top lane dive, and again, unfortunately, we are having a couple of ping issues. Actually, it's not ping this time. It's communication issues between the teams. So hopefully these things don't normally take too long to get ironed out and get us back into the action. But yeah, the flash now down on Warzy is actually pretty rough for him. Obviously, you know, everyone likes to talk about how Zoe's a champion who steals away summoner spells and has infinite summoner spells. But realistically, when her real flash is down, if she's not finding a flash or a ghost or something to steal to get extra movement, she's a very immobile champion. even though he's level 4, but even when he gets level 6, it's pseudo mobility because you ping back to where you started. So Woozy, he's gonna have to play this lane a lot more careful now, because I really would like to see Nolty go for a repeat gank in there. They've got a quarter of Woozy's flash down. They've got plenty of time still to go in and get a flash belly bot from Nolty, and that could just set up for a kill onto Woozy and really open up the map a little bit more here for the side of Singularity. So I have to see and keep an eye on where Nolty's tracking and where he's moving around the jungle.
Yeah, in an ideal scenario, you can free up, Prospere from the bot lane, and he can move up and he can go for a 3-man gank with Woozy with not having flash. Should be very easy to secure that one. But obviously, this is not the problem, Singularity went into this game, felt like they should be having an advantage bot lane 2v2, which by the champions they should. It's kind of a little bit tricky now. They still have priority as of now as where we are in the game, but you've seen M-Test return to lane with double longsword and a dagger compared to just a tear from Varus, so can definitely potentially put things a bit more in Dusty's favor in terms of priority, especially since Dragdar is down in sums. There's more windows for Dusty to apply pressure, so can potentially be difficult.
M-Test obviously got that first blood, so going to be a little bit more impactful now on this Tristana here. Working towards the noon quiver. And, accelerating the Tristana is also a pretty good way for Dusty to get himself into this game. Sawyer spotted out on the Krugs by that ward that's been placed down. So they're going to know he's there. And it actually looks like Nolty might be looking to do his own Krugs, as he's spotted out by the 3 wards. I think that's 2 wards in a trap that's been placed down in that bush there.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, it's a trap. Thank you, observer.
So, obviously, with this information, both teams know where the jungler is. Singularity are okay for now. The wave is pushing in, so they should just be able to catch this. We actually see Fury move down a little bit, establish some pressure. This is kind of trying to scare Dusty away from going for this dive. I don't think they're going to commit to it with 3 members in this situation. And Singularity's bot lane should be okay in this scenario, but you can see how much respect they have to give even before Sawyer showed up. Very much concerned about the fact that they were down on levels. They still are down on levels. Dragdoll with no summoners, that cleanse really vital up against the Leona. So spot lane becoming a bit of a sore point right now in the game. Top lane obviously behind. We expected that with it being the weak side. And at this point, Woozy's pretty comfortably applying pressure. So this is kind of ideal scenario for a Nidalee. Now, we do see Nolty hovering around mid, but I don't think you're really going to be able to act on this, not without backup.
Yeah, and Woozy's leaning towards where Sawyer is anyway, so, it would have been a 2v2. And I'm sure a bubble would have hit on the way in, so it would have been quite hard to actually be able to burst through Woozy with the help of his jungler. But yeah, for now, the gold lead is in favor of Dusty. It's not monumental, but it is a gold lead at the end of the day as they're looking for Fury. Bubble's not going to quite hit him. Fury actually stepping up forwards here. There's a nice bit picked up by Woozy, and now they're looking for the kill. Can they find the spear? No, they can't. Fury able to get away safely as Woozy gets a nice chunk of damage out of Fury in the mid lane.
And I think we're starting to see some of the problems with the draft from Dusty. So one of the big things whenever you have a Nidalee is you want to talk about setup. How you can facilitate Sawyer landing the spears. We saw top lane, they wanted to go for the dive, and I think if that was a champion like Renekton, who, obviously was banned, but that point and click stun could have guaranteed the spear. You get that increased execute damage, you're probably going to get a kill. And similarly there, it's very hard for Sawyer just to hit a spear on Fury, especially when he's just proc phase rush. So, as much as things are going well for Dusty so far, it's kind of hard for Sawyer to capitalize.
It looks like Nolty might be making his play down here, but the hook goes through the goalposts, and Baloo not going to get caught out, and that's going to be them calling off the gank in the bot lane, as the wave is going to slowly work its way towards Dusty as well.
Yeah, I actually really don't like that decision from Prospere to just go and throw the hook, because it's kind of hard to hit. You were so close there. What you should do is you should lantern Nolty in and just walk up, right? And in that scenario, M-Test probably has to flash, because if he rocket jumps, there's a chance you flay him out of it, which you should be looking to do. If you're picking Thresh at this level, you should be capable of that. So, he might have to flash, and then Prospect can flash after. Nolty has the body slam. I think that should have at least been summoners from M-Test, but I think just walking up and throwing a hook out when you brought your jungler in for the play, it's not the best setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even with that time now placed down, it gave Sawyer an opportunity to move in and invade, and he's starting to build up a fairly large lead. over Nolte. If you look at the CS difference in the gold between these two junglers, there's a 400 gold lead starting to build up for Sawyer. And I know it's not a massive amount, but it is a lead. And now Sawyer looking to secure the first dragon for the team. It's just going to be that Cloud Dragon. So a little bit of CDR on those ultimates, but means that we're not in for a Cloud Soul at the least, because I don't know if you've been watching much of the UKLC Orcs, but it's truly cursed over there. I think yesterday there were 3 Cloud Souls out of the 4 games we played. I mean, the week before that, we had like a 70% Cloud Soul rate. It's cursed over in the UKLC at the moment. It's just nothing but Cloud Souls.
I think I was casting the LPL the other day. We had like a day where it was pretty much all Infernal Souls. So it's weird when you get those, but obviously just chance when it sort of comes together. I do think that, you know, Ocean Soul's okay. Everyone's a bit too squishy on Dusty for it really to be beneficial. Singularity fare a bit better, but Infernal Soul with all these long-range poke champions is pretty insane. And kind of going back to your point about Nolte falling behind, the plan for this game originally for Singularity is you should have priority bot lane. Nolte made a good move to gank mid, so that actually should secure an advantage, and potentially you can look to apply pressure there so Fury can ward Warzy away. And then you have 2 lanes you can play around quite heavily, Wazel's weak side. Because of the early play from Prosper, and obviously the play from M-Test and Blue, Singularity lost priority in the bot lane. They weren't able to free up the support. They weren't able to punish Warzy. And so that whole plan has kind of fallen apart. And now we have this scenario where Dusty had Prior in 3 lanes with a Nidalee, and Sawyer's just able to move this momentum ahead. You can see they've gone for this transition up to the top side for this Scuttle. The Herald. And you can see the bot lane of M-Test and Blue did move up, but have now realized we're not needed, we're not being contested, we're going to move back down.
Yeah, going to be able to hold on to this. They may lose a plate batch. I think M-Test is going to get there in time just to scare them off. Although Singularity do now have their jungler about, so maybe Nolte might be looking for a little something. See if M-Test can clear through the wave quick enough, as Singularity will be able to pick this plate up in the bot side. Kraken Slayer is almost finished for M-Test. He's pretty accelerated right now as far as items and gold was able to pick a plate up, and obviously that first blood. Rift Herald has now been secured by the side of Dusty, and I'm assuming Sawyer is the one walking around with it. So we'll see where he decides to go place that, whether or not he wants to try and open up Warzy or maybe moving into one of these side lanes. Is Zombie and Wazel taking a bit of a fight here, but Zombie has to go for the ward hop. Now looking for the kickback, is going to be able to land it onto Wazel, but not before taking a massive chunk of damage, and Zombie has to be extra careful.
Yeah, he should be able to sustain this up just with his W. He's going to get a bit of help there, but definitely had to be concerned about Ornn's damage, especially when his items, he's got a ton of armor and a ton of extra damage with the Bramble Vest and the Bammy Cinder, so got to be a little bit careful on that one. But yeah, the thing with Herald is I've been saying a lot in the past few patches, you know, throwing it down mid, always good. You open up the map. First Herald can get 2 plates, second can finish it off. We're now on 11-13, and that's no longer as much of a priority, because remember, the tier 2 towers in the side lane give a massive extra boost in terms of gold. So I actually would prefer to see Dusty use it in the side lanes and look to secure that extra amount of gold. So we'll see where Sawyer prioritizes it. I think bot lane could be a potential angle. Top lane perfectly viable as well. He is clearing his bot side camps at the moment, but they don't really have a wave to work with, so it's not like they'll get anything from that necessarily.
I just want to take a little look at the vision as well, because we got this dragon spawning up in just under 2 minutes time, and we're now starting to see a little bit of vision getting placed down. Nothing too aggressive, but Dusty have enough to kind of move out of the mid lane and down towards the dragon relatively
What is that
safely.
item on Zoe, by the way? I'm guessing
That's the rocket belt. Yeah.
Like, that icon looks so weird though.
There it is. It's a rocket belt.
But like, do you not think the icon looked different to how it looks in your inventory?
It was like a more goldy color than the yellowy color it normally is.
Weird. But yeah, you know, so dragons in about 1:10. We see both teams like trying to establish a little bit of vision. Both supports have moved up, but Dusty completely have control here. You know, they had the vision set up previously. They had priority mid lane from Warzy, and as a result, they should be able to sort of have a bit of a stranglehold on this area. And it's very dangerous to face check this. There's Nidalee Spears, there's Zoe Bubbles, there's Leona Engages, so a bit of a tricky one. And realistically, I think Singularity's goal now needs to be secure mid priority if they want to sort of rotate into the area. But honestly, I could see them just giving up this dragon.
I think they might have to. You got M-Test, he's now finished up his Kraken Slayer as well, so he's pretty strong right now on the Tristana. And with the pressure they're able to accrue in the bot side, they're going to place down the Rift Herald and look to inject some gold into M-Test. As Wolsey and Fury going for a fight, the Ignite's being traded, and Fury looking for the assassination, gets the bot back, but can't quite find the kill. Bunch of plates picked up on the bottom side as well.
Yeah, and I mean,
a little bit low.
Herald bot's okay for some gold, but I feel like a better play would have been for them to put pressure mid, Singularity respond for the priority, and then you could throw it down and get the whole tower. But either way, they get the plates, looking towards Dragon. Singularity aren't going to contest, so this is another pickup for the side of Dusty. We'll get to see what Solar is, but 2 Dragons at this point of the game and a gold lead. Dusty off to a solid start, and I think with this composition, you need to be snowballing early.
Turret plating will fall soon.
This is exactly what we said they needed to do, though. Get the Nidalee ahead. Now got the Hextech Alternator, the Sork Boots. It's such a nasty combination between the pair of them. And the healing coming in from Sawyer means Dragdar has to be careful as the Solar Flare lands. They use the chains and they get the damage onto M-Test. He has to flash away from the hail of arrows as now he's getting chased onto as Prosper finds the hook onto Sawyer, but they're going to step away. They're going to cool it off there. M-Test is consistently getting poked out.
Yeah, I mean, Dragdar did a lot of previous work to set this up by landing poke on an M-Test. Oh, but he stepped up too far. Just off the lantern. That's the power of the Varus Thresh. Varus can just poke. If they do try and engage, you have a lot of defensive peel. The cleanse take here also providing in that scenario. And we did see Zombie move down towards the bot side to help secure that Dragon. We saw Dusty very much wanted to play through that bot lane, but this is kind of giving Wazel some alone time on this top tower.
Luckily, not going to be able to finish it up, but Wolsey has to be careful as he's going to be able to get himself a heal off thanks to his spell thief, but Wazel's just going to be able to pick up this first tower blood. Bit of a freebie, really, as Zombie was not in the right position, as unfortunately, once again, we do have ourselves another pause.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was one of these scenarios where, you know, they moved Zombie down towards the bot side. They wanted to make this proactive play. They wanted to get the first tower, and then things kind of fell apart. M-Test honestly taking a bit too much poke from the Varus, and then I feel like Zombie waited around for too long. He could have reset much sooner, but the thing is, I think they felt like they were committing to this play, and then when it didn't pan out, they ended up getting punished. Wazel picks up that top lane tower. He also got a ton of farm. He's now ahead of CS compared to Zombie. And again, we highlighted how we need this early agency from Dusty. Singularity are happy with this playing out a little bit longer, leaning into that power spikes in the mid game, because at that point, Wazel's going to be super tanky. Fury and Dragdar will be doing a ton of damage. And we've seen it's very hard for the Tristana to really operate against these champions, because when things are firing at such a massive distance, your auto attacks are just irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just taking stock of where we are item-wise now, as the game is now 15 minutes in. The Duskblade is now been finished up for Dragdar. We saw how much damage he was doing without the Duskblade. Now got that finished up. Obviously got the tier in the inventory as well, so the Mirror Mana next up on the menu. And interesting to see the Duskblade actually from a Varus, because typically it's been the
Prowler's Claw.
Prowler's Claw, thank you. Being the Prowler's Claw that we've been seeing on Varus's, but kind of going for the invisibility Varus this time around. I don't think either are really a bad option.
I mean, Prowler's Claw was better until it got nerfed. They took away the 3 extra lethality on it, so it offering more lethality was like a better one-item spike. You do still get less lethality overall because of the mythic passive, but with the Duskblade, you get a lot more ability haste, which, you know, I feel like when you had that great 21 lethality spike and you're getting lethality when you finish your Manamune, it was strong, but that little nerf has kind of just pushed Duskblade ahead, and the ability haste means you are firing more arrows off.
And like you said, not particularly a hard ability to miss either. So, you know, more arrows, more chance to get people low, more chances to take people out of the fight. And with an Infernal Soul spawning up, if Singularity get Infernal Soul, it will be a 4-dragon Infernal Soul as well. So it's going to be a lot of extra AD. But Dusty are the team who are closer towards it as far as the dragons go. They've got themselves a very slight gold lead. And we'll have to see what they can really do. As, you know, this bot lane tower very, very low. M-Test should be able to take it down if he's given the opportunity to do so. But for now, Dragdar just going to be able to hold the mid lane.
Yeah, and bot lane, I mean.
Bot lane, I'm just having a brain fart, I am.
Kind of expected at this point, Jake. I feel like you know, Singularity aren't really on the huge pressure spike right now, but 2 minutes 50, this dragon, they really need to contest it. They really need to find favors. So it's establishing a window where you can get that advantage. This bot lane tower, they should be able to defend for now. You can see that Dusty are kind of dealing with things on the top side, but that Herald's free for the taking. And actually, I could see Dusty playing through their top lane right now and then swapping back to the other side of the map after they've applied the pressure, pushed the wave in deep, and then they can cause issues on the dragon side of the map. But Singularity are kind of in a rough spot because they can't afford to like defend their top side of the map or defend this Herald. They have to focus on establishing vision around the dragon early, otherwise they won't get a chance at all.
That's going to be the Herald. It's a freebie for Dusty, honestly. They're just taking these objectives with 0 contest, and that's 2 Rift Heralds, 2 dragons picked up 16 minutes in, and they can use that to crack open mid. They can use it to contest pressure when the dragon does spawn up. And obviously, Wazzy now with his Luden's Echo shouldn't really have too many problems dealing with this, as he's going to get jumped onto. Protobel's away, gets delivered back in, and he is going down. A lot of damage comes out from the tower shots, but Wazzy flashless, and he's going to find himself in a whole lot of trouble.
And I like the capitalization. As you said, very hard for the Zoe to do something. Obviously, the ult can go away, but Nalty waited for it, landed the cast. And with no flash, Wazzy essentially dead. And Sawyer is there, throws a spear. Both of them are fast enough to dodge it. Obviously, Fury with the phase rush as well. So not very much done. And this gives a big pressure point for Singularity to really establish that vision control. They are now going for resets, the minute 15 before that dragon. So you'll see more wards picked up from Prosper. They can re-establish the vision line, and they'll be there in time to contest the mid wave and then lean it into the dragon area. Because with the amount of poke tools available to these teams, it's super important to have vision control, or at least be able to contest their vision. Because if you're face checking or you just don't have vision and you're getting arrows or shock blast or Nidley spears or trouble bubbles flying out the fog of war, it makes it very difficult.
Wazzy as a gold drinker. Not the most useful for a Zoe, unless she portal jumps into it, but it's just going to burn it. As the Rift Herald's going to get something. They got 29 seconds, so this is that moment they needed of just pressure. They're going to make sure it gets close enough to get the charge off, as Bubble actually will connect onto Prosper, so no one's going to be able to Lantern. And that is going to be the end of the mid lane tower. Finally crumbles, and 16 seconds until the Herald is, the dragon is spawning up, and Zombie and Wazzy just doing their best just to try and find some poke and some damage over the wall, as that's a big shot blast. They're getting sped up as they look to charge towards the members. But the bubble comes out from Wazzy. Over the wall he goes, and he is annihilated. Bit of a questionable one from him there, as Wazor lands the knock up into a couple of members, and with the dragon up with Sawyer half health, I think Dusty are just going to have to call this one off.
And this is one of the difference in this composition, is that Singularity has people who can soak the poke, you know? You saw that scenario where the shock blast came in and Dusty had to back away. Despite the fact they'd managed to establish control, I actually really like the play Singularity went for, where they pushed forward and they used the blue trinkets to buy themselves vision. It's kind of like buying themselves vision control, cheating it, whereas they wouldn't have normally had it. They were able to land that poke, and then Dusty, you saw Wazzy trying to answer in return, but Singularity were ready. They pushed forward, they blocked the poke, and then they jumped straight on Wazzy, and that 1 kill lead was enough for them to be able to get the dragon. So crisis averted in terms of that soul setup.
It was a bit of a bizarre one, though, for Wazzy to take the portal jump over the wall. He landed the bubble. Be happy with that. You're not going to be able to get the kill. But Dusty, even though they lost that dragon, are going to be able to pick themselves up their second tower of the game, sorry. The bot lane tower is still standing. Zentest gets some free time and big chunk of gold. Remember, on this patch, the second tier turrets are worth more money. So if you can start to get those, you get a lot of additional gold. As no one's really here on this side of the map, as Baloo and Nalty just going for a little bit of a light scrap, and they might get a bit of free time onto this tower now, thanks to Baloo being able to zone through the jungle. Zentest is going to try and shove the wave in forward, as Dragdo and Prosper have made their way over. So I don't think this tower is going to be going down. I think Dusty are just going to call it off here.
You can see how aggressive Dusty are playing on this side of the map, though. They've kind of just left their bot side. They gave up that tower. They knew they weren't really going to be able to defend it. And then they push very aggressively on the other side. Wazzy pushes up mid. M-Test pushing top lane. And then you have the jungle support moving together and establishing control. But they got what they wanted. They got that top lane tower. They managed to push the waves in. Now they can reset and just get back on the map again. But it's Dusty very much being proactive. And I think that's something to praise from what we've seen from them so far in this game, is a lot of proactivity in making things happen. you know, in terms of objectives, in terms of setting up for these towers.
Yeah.
I'm still unsure if that's enough to get them favor in this game. I just think the team fights are going to be very difficult, but they are playing the game right for sure.
This is a little bit closer, not quite, but a little bit closer to the Dusty we saw take out Fnatic. It's not quite there, but it's close. You know, it's more proactive, it's more decisive, they don't look as lost. Sure, there's some problems. They, you know, we saw at the Baron area, at the Dragon, sorry, but they didn't really have the ability to soak poke. They were getting chunked out, and then, you know, a little bit of questionable portal jump by Warzy did cost him his life, but ultimately, they're not looking as lost right now. And if they can kind of keep the smart rotations up, maybe trading stuff for these towers, they picked up the first 2 dragons, so Singularity are a long way away from that sole point. So Dusty, if they don't feel confident taking a fight, they can chill. They can give it over. They still got 3 dragons left to play with before that soul comes up. And this is just buying time for M-Test. He's got 2 items now on the Tristana with the Phantom Dancer finished up. And he's in a pretty confident spot right now. Warzy has to be quite careful because there is a lot of poke in the mid lane right now. So gonna bring in his jungler to try and help him defend the tower.
Yeah, the problem is I feel a little bit concerned if they do end up waiting for time, that Singularity will just fare better in the later stages. If you see Singularity try and like really establish mid priority there, push up, threaten the tower, but they're still really concerned about Dusty. They still have to back away. Dusty are the ones with the pressure, and right now they have that top lane pushing in, they have the Lee Sin moving over. They're starting to threaten here.
Looking for it, but never able to find it. But here's the call of the Forge God from Wazer. Warzy's going to get hooked. He's going to get cooked. He's going down. No, he flashes away to safety. Spear lands onto Prosper, but it's not really going to do too much damage. And it was almost one dead Zoe, but Warzy was able to flash to safety.
Yeah, and honestly, that was kind of poor from Singularity, because I understand the thought process there. You want to be able to target the Zoe, get control of the Dragon area, but Zoe had cleanse available thanks to Summoner Spellbook. You didn't really actually have a chance to kill them. And also notice all the CC got laid at the same time. The ult from Ornn came in, then the hook and the Chains of Corruption at the same time. So Warzy was able to cleanse out. It was just not really well executed, even though I do like the play. I like that Wazel found the window to move over. But it does mean that Warzy is now flashless going into this next dragon fight in 45 seconds. So I think he may well be the target for Singularity. We saw that in the previous dragon fight. If Singularity can find a good engage, there's no way Warzy can easily dodge away from a lot of the tools that Singularity has.
Blue spotted out by the ward, so they knew he was moving into that bush. As he has got the scries, he has to be careful because Nolte's just going to come in. The chains are there. Blue, check your bushes, mate. Teleports here, a zombie now. Caught out, lands the kick, but everybody's going to chase him down. Has a blast going to go over the wall, but Nolte will deliver him back. He goes for the ward hop to safety. He's trying to make the run, trying to make the escape. The flash will finally come down. And Wazor just tanking everything from M-Test. A massive shot blast takes M-Test health to half. And realistically, why was Blue in that bush?
I don't know. I mean, oh, might found something here.
Oh, it's going to be greedy. Prosper takes a lot of damage. Warzy not caught out, but here's the call of the Forge God. Remember, Warzy has no flash. They find the knock up into Zombie, and Warzy able to escape, but the dragon should still go down either way.
Yeah,
M-Test is just too chunked to be able to contest it. Maybe a miracle steal from Warzy, but I don't think he's going to be able to find it.
And honestly, just a little bit poor play from Baloo. I feel like Dusty kind of knew what they wanted to do, but Baloo was kind of a little bit out of sync with the rest. While they were contesting mid-priority to move over, Baloo was already there ahead of the rest, and so was caught out by Singularity with a pretty quick engage. Just questionable play that cost them another dragon, and now equalized in that terms, 1,000 ahead in gold still, but I'm starting to feel more and more concerned with the side of Dusty.
Now, I'm pretty confused on, why this sequence of play happens. The solar flared by Baloo, but he doesn't really have the backup. The spear gonna go wide, and Baloo has to flash. I got some real questions about Baloo in this game now, because he's just consistently putting himself in harm's way when he doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it feels like there's kind of like a desperation aspect where they're trying to find these picks, trying to find these engages, because Singularity have massively slowed the game down. And they're able just to clear waves from a long distance. They're not pushing up too heavily. They have managed to pick up these side lane towers with some well-timed pushes, but they're not really concerned about this mid-tier 1 for the time being. And Dusty, we said they were being good. They were doing proactive things, but they've been losing these last 2 dragon setups. And now they're kind of just waiting for the next objective, which puts them in a difficult spot.
We're seeing also, now that Wazor's hit that level 14 mark, he's starting to hand out some of these upgrades. He's given the Eclipse upgrade over to Fury, obviously upgraded his Chem Tank as well. So,
I feel like it's
you know,
so much
an
harder
additional
to tell.
free spike is coming through.
I feel like it's so much harder to tell now that the mythic items have that like orange, like the yellow border or whatever.
Yes.
It was so much clearer before, because like even the Dust Blade looks like it has a border. Obviously, you can see if you look close, it's not upgraded, but you know.
There's the little thing in the corner. But yeah, I agree with you. Maybe they should change Ornn's ornament upgrade color. Ooh. I mean, so here's the thing, right? You were talking about how Dusty's poke is harder to land, but when it lands, it does hit hard. It does hit really hard.
It does, so it's threatening, and obviously them landing those bits of poke does really force Singularity away, so now Dusty can establish control and just move over and push through on this side of the map.
Oh, this is clearing out all this Baron vision. It's very heavily in their favor. As Bubble is going to hit onto one. Warzy not going to look for it. As a solar flare, the cast separates the fight. Wazor on the flank. Plans to knock up into a couple of members as they're trying to kite. They're trying to fight away. M-Test is belly bombed. M-Test has to flash into the Baron pit to get away. Sawyer comes in with a heal, but it is a whitewash for Singularity. They are annihilating the health bars of Dusty, and Dusty just completely out of options now. Baron is going to get started, and no real way to find the contest as M-Test has to go for the reset. And that's just a bit of a freebie. Once again, Blue ulting a select target who's miles away from his team. Warzy, can he make the play? He has a smite. Wants to try and jump over the wall. Wants to try and be able to steal this one as the flash will interrupt him. He gets the smite, gets the kill, and he loses his life. It's a double kill picked up for Fury and the Baron to seal the deal for Singularity.
Yeah, I mean, I like the decision for Fury to flash over. Just, oh my god, that damage. Yeah, I mean, this is a fair Jace at this point. We'll get a replay, so you can see the limitations here with Dusty's composition. They land the bubble and the ult on a Fury. Should be a great scenario, but there's so many bodies who are available to block that poke and stop the engage from coming through that Dusty don't even capitalize on that and have to back away. And then the re-engage from Singularity, very punishing. They take out the jungle here. They know Warzy's a threat, so Fury flashes over. Nulti goes too, and Nulti dying is really irrelevant at this point. The fact is that you kill the Zoe with a smite, and it means you're able to secure that Baron. And oh my god, Fury's so strong now. Has the Serelda's Grudge, so not only does the poke do a ton of damage, slows as well. And that's a Leona, you know, has the plated steel cap, has a little bit of resistances from the locket, and still this is doing so much damage.
Seeing the bubble land onto Warzy, but again, no one's really in position to follow it up. Although Zombies coming in onto the flank has been spotted out by this pink ward as Nulti trying to find the opportunity. Here goes the ward hop. Here goes the kick. Zombie not going to find the damage as he's jumping in onto Dragdar, trying to sustain, trying to survive, but he will not be able to do so as Nulti's got the Predator on, and M-Test is just going to jump away to safety.
Yeah, angle a little bit off from that kick, and also the follow-up's just not there. And I like the concept. I like the idea. I think this is the correct play you should be looking for right now. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work. It doesn't play out. You can't follow up. But oh my lord.
Oh.
Yeah. Poke wars. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even see that as the flash from Prosper. Sleep is going to land, but there isn't really any follow-up with M-Test dead. They can continue to try and find the poke, but it's just tickling Wazor. It's not even doing anything. And they're going to lose their inhibitor. Warzy just about able to dodge away on that empowered shot blast as the dragon is on the map, and this will be dragon number 3 for Singularity. As Solar Flare comes down from Baloo, but Fury only clipped on the edge, so he's going to be A-OK. As Warzy chunked out by Fury, and I think that's third dragon.
Yeah, I mean, there's so little you can do. And again, they're stacking these Infernal Dragons, giving them more attack damage in this scenario. It's so hard for Dusty, because even if they thread the needle, even if they find the poke, it's so hard to consistently land them, whereas Singularity is so much easier. That shock blast, he was over half HP there.
Oh, that is ridiculous. I mean, he's 4 items. He's got the Serpent's Fang, he's got the Mirror Mana, he's got the Hysterics, he's got the Eclipse, the upgraded Eclipse as well. So he's 4.5 items technically. He's massive. He's level 17. That's a scary Jace.
Absolutely is. And now we're going to push through the bot side and establish control here.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
That's a lot of damage. And the thing is, with his itemization, he's got so much lethality, so much armor pen that, no one's really got that much armor on the side of Dusty. It's basically going to be dealing 2 damage, 1,100, 2 damage, and near enough to the squish your targets. Scary.
The thing is I feel like Dusty needs to fight now, because if an arrow hits, there you go, M-Test is out of the fight, and another arrow into the shot. Fast Fury able to finish him up. And it's just easy pickings for Singularity. Sawyer going to be able to dodge away on the belly bot, but not the hookers. Wazor continues to chase in for a little bit more. It's going to get put to sleep momentarily. Is the shot blast is enough? And the follow-up is going to go down. Warzy by the Everfrost will pay the price. And it was a worrying start for Singularity, but they just held on. They sustained through the scary part of the game, and they're going to be able to take this game. It's 31 minutes on the clock. And Singularity just farming a couple of kills on the base.
They land the poke at the same time. They might actually just kill Blue. Are they just going to let Wazor die?
There we go.
I think that's just going to end at this point. Decent start from Dusty, honestly, but just weren't really able to finish it out in the end. Fury got massively fed, and I think the setup for the Dragons was better. The setup for the team fights was better. It just felt like Dusty's composition kind of hamstrung them a bit. And then also coming into those Dragons, it felt like they didn't have a really clear plan on how to win out these scenarios, how to find the poke. Very much it felt like they let Singularity push in, and then Singularity like, we are going to take as much ground as we need.
It was a really good game there from Singularity. There are a few questions, there are a few issues, but I'm sure the desk can break that down for us. But for now, it's time for us to throw to a break. And when we're back with the analysis desk to talk a little bit more about that game. So see you in a moment.